So in our class, we talk about kids were having ideas on starting new businesses and how to promote themselves and market themselves. So you started yours just a couple of years ago.
2 years back.
So can you give us a couple of things that you did when you first started, either to market yourself or to get your first customers?
Sure. How many of you want to start your own business? Or at least have some thought that you would like to do your own business? So when it comes to business, the only thing that you need to keep in mind is when you start off, it's like sitting in the airplane. When you fly, they tell you put on your seat belts, right? And the reason being is that you're going to face some turbulences. And when the turbulence is over, you have reached a good height, you can safely open your seatbelt for some time. Business is exactly the same. When I started, I had to remind myself of a very powerful story. And I'm a person who believes a lot in everything is within you. Success is within you. That's the reason it started. So when you are going into a business, just remind yourself every day that it's a turbulence. You are going to face the turbulence. You have to go out and meet people. Business is never done sitting in the office. Never. It is never done sitting on the chair. You have to go out. You have to go out, meet people, let people know you are doing business. People are going to come and tell you, right now we don't need your product. You may even face rejections more than you face acceptance, but it's okay. Because you know what you did? You actually put a seed. You put a seed over there in her mind, and you came, or in the mind of the CEO or whoever you're dealing with, that I am in the market. You can think of me. Once that seed is done, you just have to keep watering it with different ways. Keep in touch with them. Make sure that you send them some emails, newsletters, but just make sure you are out there and face the turbulences. Turbulences are going to come. It's the same like fear. Start now. Those of you who really want to achieve something, start now making your own library of thoughts, quotes, movies. You see movies like Finding Nemo. You see movies like Lion King. We all see them and we enjoy and we come back. We forget what a great motivation it was. How they keep saying to just keep swimming. What do we learn from them? I started making my own library out of it. And to an extent that today we have so many people connected with us on Facebook just for motivation and just for our videos of how we speak on motivation. So start from now. That would be my best advice that I can give you. Turbulence will come. Just start from now if you have a vision in your making.
I know some of the students would like to know what inspired you to do what you're doing, and how do you continue to stay motivated to do what you do?
Okay. What inspired me to start what I'm doing? Actually, it was a huge battle. I had a very good job, and I was, the head of operations of the company, and very good salary, very good job, good career. And every time inside me, I had this that I'm not feeling okay with what's going on, because people around me, they had a lot of success, and they actually started to climb up the ladder, but they were always having a negative vibration. And every time I would talk to them, they would say they are not happy. And I would wonder, seriously? I mean, you achieved your goals, you wanted to get into a director position, you're not happy? How is it possible? And they always wanted to achieve more success. But because their minds were so toxic, it was full of stress, it was full of negativity, they were not able to achieve. So slowly I started to talk to them, and I just generally, we would talk about successes within, and we would start discussing of what are some of the steps that I was teaching to the people. And slowly I was actually pushed into it. And then I decided that, okay, you know what, I'll give it a leap. I will leave my job. It took me a lot of time to believe in myself. I had to actually do a lot of stuff to believe in myself. It's very hard to believe in yourself. So once that was done, and once I felt that yes, people around me are benefiting and they're telling me to take this on a larger scale, that's how Insightful Learning started. It just started because of the people actually. So, and what keeps me motivated? I told you, I have a library of thoughts, I have a library of quotes. I know turbulences are still going to come. That's the only thing that can keep you motivated is your why. If you know why you got into something, all obstacles will look small. If you do not know why you got into a thing, all obstacles are going to look too huge. So you must know your why. I know my why is to help people. It's to give them service. It's to make them happy, and it's to make them successful. So you need to know your more than happy.
Can you speak about speaking? You do a lot of public speaking here, and to corporate executives, what did you do to get over your fear of speaking? Because a lot of the people here are going to college, don't have to do job interviews or interviews to get to a particular college. Any tips or presentations in class, for my class anyway, any tips that you can give them on what they can do to become better public speakers here in the future?
So when it comes to public speaking, I think all of us are in the same boat, including myself. I also had the same fears. And I mentioned to you all that this was one of my passions, that I really wanted to get into speaking and training. So I was always, training in small groups of my employees on, productivity, increasing their employee productivity and everything. So when I was moved here from India, when I came to the US in the year 2000, I was moved by a huge corporate. And while I was working in the corporate, I was still my passion of training came with me. And I really wanted to get into it. So every time I tried for it, people told me you shouldn't, it's not a good idea to do it here, these are huge corporations, the same story. So it was like a black dot. And every time I tried to put my name onto something to do it, I couldn't. Until one day when actually I heard of an incident that had taken place. It was, I think it was in Asia. It was, about a volleyball player. She was a national volleyball player, and she was traveling, and she was, somebody was trying to pull her gold chain out of her, and she was trying to protect herself. And while doing that, someone pushed her out of the train, and she fell. And she fell on the tracks where another train crossed her and cut her legs. So while that happened and while she went to the hospital, she was still alive. She was still alive. And she decided that, she's alive for a reason, and she will climb the Mount Everest. And after that, she will climb all the peaks, all the 7 peaks that are there, and she's finished 5. And every time I would listen to that story, I would feel really, she was able to deal with her black dot. I am not able to get over my fear. And my fear was not self-born. It was born because of others. It's others who told me I shouldn't speak. It's others who told me it's a very different atmosphere. You shouldn't go in for it. Different credentials. So everything was built by them, and I accepted it. The day I was able to come out of that, it was easier for me to speak. The other thing that most of us do while speaking, we speak to impress. We do not speak to express. The moment you decide that I am here just to express, it doesn't matter. You think I don't make mistakes? I still make mistakes even while talking to you all, while talking to corporates, because nothing is planned in my speaking. There are some points that I need to speak, but nothing is planned as such. So everything is like a flow. But if I'm speaking to impress you, I'll be very conscious that, okay, you know what? I wonder what she's going to think of me. I wonder what they are going to look at me and think. But I'm speaking to express. I want to let you know about fear. I want to let you know when I speak about thoughts, how do you channelize your thoughts? I want you to get there. So just try and speak to express, never to impress yourself. And major fear that we have is what people will think. Because the moment I put that on, everyone almost was smiling. What they are going to think. If you are going to think what they are going to think, then what are they going to think? You cannot get into anybody's mind. Absolutely. So never think of what people are going to think about you. They're going to even forget you once you finish your presentation. And if you really want to think what people are going to think, just one thing. They are going to love my presentation. That's it. If you really want to still think what people are going to think about you, they are going to think good about me. If you have the power to create fear, if you have the power to create that thought that people are not going to like my presentation, each of you in this room has 100% the power to create the thought that they are going to love my presentation. It's just a matter of fear. That's all it takes.
Mr. Shirley, you have a question?
Yeah, I got one. So, to give everybody an example how you still have fears no matter where you are in your stage of life. You had fears when you first started a couple years ago. So, as you become more successful and you're growing, you may have employees or associates trying to,
Yes.
you're teaching them to kind of go out on your behalf as well. How are your fears different today, right now, versus what they were that first day when you had 4 speakers in front of you?
It's very different now because now insightful learning has, grown globally. We have people connected with us globally. So the more you climb up the ladder, the higher the fear, always. The more wealth you have, the more the fear of losing it. Losing power, losing wealth, losing your business, the more the fear. And what I What I have come to understand, and that's the reason success is within works, is because everything is within you. You have the power. Is to let go. Why worry? It's the same thing. What I told you is exactly what I practice in my daily life. Why worry? If you have a situation you can deal with it, then why worry? If you have a situation you can't deal with it, still why worry? It's not in your hands. The only thing in your hands is action, which I still believe in. If I will take the actions, if I will train my employees well, if I take the actions of practicing what I want to speak, if I take the action of practicing how I want to market my business, that's in my hands. Whether you will reject my business proposal or whether you will accept is not in my hands. It takes time just to form that thought that it's not in my control. The action is the only one in my control. Today the fear that I would have would be, what if the business doesn't grow? What if I don't get new clients? Fear is formed. What if it's not happened? It's all in the mind, friends. Everything is within you.